Anthony Wayne, Henry Lee, and others broad orders that gave them the latitude needed for the exercise of their initiative. This book's genesis lies in my teaching at the U.S. Army School of Advanced Military Studies, SAMS, and in my previous position on the staff ride team. Scholarship informs my teaching, much as teaching informs my scholarship. The two are inseparable. Out of the need to introduce movement, 1 hour of teaching at Valley Forge came an article. A second and third article, several conference papers, and a blog post later emerged. This book is the ultimate expression of that teaching moment. In small things, greater ones often inhere. Introduction. The Army must soon dissolve. Following months of active campaigning, in December 1777, General George Washington led the Continental Army into winter quarters at Valley Forge, a place whose name in American history is synonymous with privation, suffering, and endurance. From the late spring of 1777 through the onset of that year's winter, the Army had marched and maneuvered well over 200 miles from its encampments at Morristown, New Jersey, to Couch's Bridge, Delaware, to Chadds Ford, Pennsylvania, and beyond. Eventually, the Army's journey led to Valley Forge. It had marched to fight, and fight it did. Washington's Continentals and local militias had clashed with General Sir William Howe's British regulars and Hessian auxiliaries at Couch's Bridge, Brandywine, Bowley, Germantown, White Marsh, and other places over the course of the Philadelphia campaign. The Continentals and militiamen had lost more battles than they had won, and yet the Continental Army had held together. As the end of the normal campaigning season, late spring through autumn, neared and then closed, General Washington convened several councils of war with the Army's other generals to determine whether the Army should wage a winter campaign or enter quarters until the spring. In the end, Washington determined that his soldiers would winter at Valley Forge. It was the least bad option within a limited range of possibilities. Washington's decision to order the Army into a winter cantonment at Valley Forge came about only after a lengthy series of considerations with the generals, congressional delegates, and local politicians. In the end, the approaching winter, the Army's physical circumstances, and political and strategic necessity joined forces to limit Washington's courses of action. Ever the risk-taker, Washington was also ever the realist. The Army that wintered at Valley Forge was near enough to Philadelphia to challenge British occupiers for control of southeastern Pennsylvania, but doing so exacerbated the Continental Commissariat's near inability to feed its soldiers. Washington's undertaking, buttressing Pennsylvania's government, exercising the writ of the Continental Congress, and denying the British exercise of political power, however, precluded his making any other decision. Faced with this complex and challenging strategic and political environment, Washington and the Army made the best of a poor situation, constrained as they were by the strategic calculus of war. December 1777 was bad enough for the Army, but worse was yet to come. Faced with the collapse of the commissariat and the all-too-real potential of scattering the Army across eastern Pennsylvania so that it might feed itself, Washington was on the horns of a dilemma. Without food, the Army would be compelled to abandon Valley Forge and surrender all hope of challenging the British for control of southeastern Pennsylvania. Choosing the more difficult path, maintaining the Army's position at Valley Forge, Washington set in motion the Continental Army's riskiest and most complex operation it executed while there, the Grand Forage of February 1778. Washington had nothing but poor prospects before him. The Army had to maintain its position in the Great Valley. Faced with this, Washington acted decisively so that his soldiers might survive, so that the Army might take the field in the spring and continue the war for American independence. The Grand Forage of 1778 was an act of desperation and a demonstration of Washington's willingness to accept risk while meeting a crisis. By February, the Army was on the verge of dispersal or dissolution. Its logistical system had collapsed.